Now this may be a short little adventure. We're gonna do some jerkbait stuff I haven't done yet. Probably nothing new to y'all, maybe. I don't know, I've never seen it except one little instance recently, so we're gonna do that. Freaking cold. It was supposed to be in the 60s today, so I'll be right back. I'm gonna go down here to the water. We're gonna do something you've never seen before on YouTube. Something never happened before bass fishing. Watch this. Okay, another video like y'all ain't never seen before on YouTube. I'll guarantee it. I don't think. I mean, I'm fishing off a dock. Freezing because it's supposed to be almost 60 today and it ain't making it. I'm the old school guy. We're going to talk some old school jerkbait stuff. Yeah, it is miserable. I ain't dressed for this. 44 degrees and a breeze blowing. I'm not going to be very long out here. I mean, I'm actually shaking. I just tied some stuff on here. I wanted to do this real quick while I'm down here at the lake, open water. I'll fish next week maybe, but I've been thinking about this, so I packed some stuff with me. Jerkbait stuff, and this all comes from a video a couple weeks ago by the aspiring tournament angler Chris Johnson. Chris does excellent videos. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to that video. He was showing a old school Ozark retrieve for a jerkbait in cold water. I'm going to expand on that a little bit off a boat dock at the lawn tramp. So bear with me. I'm going to try to show you this, try to get it to the point fairly quick. Boy howdy. My hands are freezing. So I'm going to be throwing this jerkbait I make. It's like a 110 plus 2, whatever, megabass, the one I make. Basically, it's a spinning bait. It's kind of my version of clown. It's hard to do. So anyway, I'm going to real quick talk about what Chris did. Try to make that happen. And wintertime jerkbait fish for me is 100% spinning tack on 8-pound line. I ought to use more 6-pound line. I'm going to crank that bait down. And then what Chris was showing is basically the dead sticking version, the slowest version you can do with a jerkbait. And he's just basically moving the slack line. And if you can remember that fish in cold water, the jerkbait, that you're just moving the line, more often than not, that's the trick to jerkbait fish. You're not jerking the bait, okay? So basically let it sit a few seconds and you just kind of move the line. And what that bait does, it flutters if you do it right. If you can remember that, if you can just move the line, you are going to catch a lot of fish this way. But it also helps to know the fish are there and have the confidence the fish are there. So I'm not actually moving the bait with the rod tip very much. I'm moving the line. Can you see that? I'm just moving the line. I'm not moving the bait. Excellent way. Now this is a dead stick, and this is the slowest thing, the slowest way to fish a jerkbait, other than just letting it sit, which I am anyway. It's a cold water deal, okay? And the water right now is 39, 40 degrees, maybe tops, okay? Now, again, this was a suspending bait. I don't know if y'all can see that. That bait is hanging perfectly still in the water. I hope the camera shows that. It'll basically sit in one spot for as long as I leave it, or close enough. Now, that being said, I'm going to do something else real quick. The way a lot of people fish a jerkbait, truthfully, I should have done this first. Crank that bait down, you do twitch, twitch, pause. Twitch, 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 pause. Or maybe sometimes that's, and everybody does that, twitch, twitch, pause. And it works. I do it in warmer water than this. It will catch fish this way, but there's better ways, I think, to do this. So twitch, twitch, pause. Now, in warm water, 50, 55 and up, I go yank, yank. I mean, guys, you can't yank it hard enough. Yank, yank, yank. Yank, yank, yank. That's the way I do it in warmer water. Even to the point of summertime jerkbait fishing, I just, to almost very low pause in between. Just yank, yank, yank all the way back. Just like that. And I'm still fishing on that slack line. I'm still jerking the line more than I am the bait. Because if you start pulling into the bait, you start moving the bait weird. You didn't get the erratic action that you want. So, what have I missed so far? Again, back to the slack line. It's a dead sticking deal. Fishing really slow. Get the bait down there, let it sit, and basically you're just picking up on the line. You're not twitching it so much, although you can try that, but I'm taking the slack out of the line and just letting it sit. And that bait it's sitting there, it just flutters, okay? So I hope I made that clear. Chris's video is probably better, on the water video too, so look that one up. I'll remember. I know I would have put a link in the description. It's so important because that's what made me want to do this video. I tell you, it's getting cold out here. Okay, expanding on that is some other things that I do with the jerkbait in the wintertime. Now, y'all, I know I'm not catching a ton of fish. I know I'm not setting the world on fire like I did one time, but this stuff still works. I know I can still do this as well as anybody. I'm gonna get the bait down to depth, and I'm just gonna shake that rod tip. I'm cranking the reel at the same time. I guess that's coming up on the camera. I'm just shaking the rod tip, not yanking it, just shaking it, and then I'll stop. I'll let it set. Twitch that line again, kind of twisting just to slacken the line, and back to shaking the rod tip. Just shaking it while I move it real slow. Now, again, in warmer water, at 45 to 50 degrees, I'll kind of do it a little faster. But I'm just barely moving. I'm more shaking it in one spot. I'm not cranking very fast, but I'll be more aggressive. So in this cold water, let it set, shake the rod tip a little bit. I'm basically just shaking the line, but I'm also bringing the bait to me a little faster than the other way. So what we're going to try to do is decide what the fish are wanting, and hopefully the fish will tell us that. I think I did a horrible job on that video. At least it quit misting. When I pulled in, I had windshield wipers on. Brr! That making sense for y'all? We're trying to leave the bait alone. We're not putting a lot of action into it. But I'm also not leaving it one spot for minutes. I mean, I used to do that. Leave this bait alone for 45 seconds to a minute. I caught enough big bass over the years. I know that works. But it's not the only way you have to do it. Okay? So fishing the bait on a slack line, I think, is important. I'm fishing with 8-pound test mono. It's a Bass Pro Shop Excel. For the price, it can't be beat. I understand the fluorocarbon, how much it might help this technique, but I'm old school. I'm using the old stuff. So let's try something else here. And y'all, in the wintertime, that's not a long cast. I'm making pretty long casts. I'm fishing spinning tackle, 8-pound, and sometimes you need to use 6-pound. Man, that's light, but sometimes it makes a difference. Another thing I don't see anybody do with a jerkbait. I've got it cranked down. It's down there 4, 5, 6 foot. I'm going to take my slack up, and I'm just going to drag the rod tip 6, 8 inches and stop. Okay? Crank it up. 6, 8 inches. Now, 6, 8 inches is not very far. You can go further than that, but that's not very far, and stop. Just a drag. Okay? Little drag and stop. I don't ever see anybody do this one. This one can be killer. Again, you got to experiment. Little drag, stop, let it set. And again, I'm basically just fishing the slack in the line. I can't feel that bait at all. I'm just fishing that slack in the line. Lord of mercy, sometimes this is the one that just wipes them out. Okay? Retrieve number 3. Now here's the fun part. The juice. There's the kind of cast you make, 100+ foot cast. I didn't even try there. Crank it down. Now here's the deal. We're going to do the Chris Johnson, old school, just fish the slack. And that bait is so far out there, I'm not moving that bait much at all. There's a lot of slack. That's good. Just yank it on the slack a little bit. Just take the slack out, and that bait is just shaking, right? Okay? Then I get the slack out of line and start my little twitch thing, just shaking the rod tip, crank slack out, shake the rod tip, crank slack out, get hung up in the brush pile for a second. Ooh, there's brush there, awesome. Shaking, 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 okay? Then my other retrieve, a drag, stop. Drag, stop. Now here's the cool thing, and this is, to me, an awesome cool thing. Before I lose my bait in that brush, let me get it back. Here's the cool thing about what I'm doing. And this thing unclips, magnets, so cool. I like this camera. I'll do a video on this camera pretty soon. You can do all 3 of those retrieves on any given cast. You can combine and change. It's not twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, twitch, pause. That's not what jerkbait fishing is. Jerkbait fishing is incorporate a lot of different things in the same retrieve sometimes. And trying to find out, let the fish tell you what they want. So I'm going to show you one more thing I think is very important to try. And sometimes of all things, sometimes it's the #1 way to trigger a bite. Okay, I hope all this is showing up good, guys. I don't do a script. And so here's the deal. We're going to make our cast. We're on a secondary point where this launch ramp is actually, so not horrible. We're going to crank the bait down. And which retrieve do y'all want to see? Let's just do my little jiggle retrieve, where I'm just shaking the rod tip. Oh, man, I hope that's showing up. I'm just shaking the rod tip, and I'm cranking real slow. Just a little bitty shake. Slow the shakes down just a little bit, and then stop the bait and pause it. Do it again. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And then here's the good part. Ready? Snap. Give it a pop. Let it sit. Shake, 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 shake. Let it sit. Shake, 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 shake. Let it sit. Give it a pop. And I do that on any kind of retrieve the jerkbait. It's a change in cadence thing again, you know. It's crucial that you don't do the same thing all the time with that jerkbait. I believe I just had a bite. Come on, fish that ramp. I don't know. That was weird. Huh, wouldn't that be cool to catch one doing this? So, I cranked the bait down. We're going to do the slack thing. It's going to let it set for a few seconds. I'm just going to kind of pick up the slack of the line. The bait's quivering, moving. Shake it. The bait's holding still now. Pick up slack in the line. The bait moves a little bit and then go snap. Same thing. Pick up that slack. The bait's setting basically in one spot. I haven't moved it 5 foot towards me yet. Shake it line and snap. Okay, y'all? I'm telling you, that is a trigger. Sometimes, I don't care how cold the water is, that snap will get them. What you got to do, well, let me get this bait put away and I'll tell you what you're supposed to be doing. Because my hands are cold. I brought a whole box of jerk baits just in case that one didn't suspend good. It suspended right out. Another deal. Awesome. So cold water bass are lethargic. It does not mean they're dead. It does not mean you have to inch it along all the time. You need to incorporate different retrieves. I like the lighter line, and there's no reason not to throw it on light line in the wintertime, especially in our clear water Highland type lakes. Now you're in the dirtier water down south, yeah, I throw it on casting rod and 10-pound line or whatever. But I'm gonna throw it on fairly light tackle. That's a 7-foot rod, a 6'10" rod, medium light, got a little bit of tip to it. Long cast and subtle retrieves, but not necessarily a standstill, dead sticking retrieve. It's a change up. And it's doing it over and over, trying different things, because everything makes a difference. Jerkbait fishing is the most intricate kind of bass fishing that there is. There's nothing more intricate. From colors, which today with this overcast, that cloud is a really good color today. But the wind would change things. Water clarity changes things. It's a long way to learn. But if you stick with the basics and just fish slow in the winter, but not dead stick slow, take your time, try new things, try experiment, and try to listen to the fish when it comes time for them to tell you something. You need to be listening. I hope that makes some sense. I don't know if there's anything else. It's freaking cold out here, and I still got another rod and reel with me, because I'm going to do some bonus footage real quick. Here comes some bonus footage. I'm so sad. Wow. Progress at Lake of the Ozarks. Over the hill just now, a horn went off 3 or 4 times, like a diesel horn. Followed immediately by explosion because they're blasted. I mean, I felt it through my foot. Wonder how bad that tears the fishing up. Because my God, they ain't raped enough of these hills yet. Wow, earth shattering, earth shaking for real. Luckily, nothing scares me except redheaded women. I've been watching a lot of bass fishing footage from this winter from local guys, and I ain't never seen anybody do anything but the shad wraps, the wiggle warts, the jerk baits, and a jig, bucktail jig and frog like Chris Johnson throws. I don't see anybody ever doing this one anymore. And guys, last winter, this and the crankbait was my 2 best baits. Now this is the spider grub, okay? The old hula grub, which this one I make. I think I'm gonna call this one the Aloha grub. Very fine tails, and they actually bend out instead of in. Anyway, I'm not trying to sell these yet. It's just a bait I throw, but I don't see anybody doing this anymore. What's the deal? It's not the best day for it. This is a bright sunlight day. Again, 8-pound line. This on a casting rod. I just don't like a spinning rod with this technique. Whatever. Don't judge me. 8-pound line. And in the wintertime, below 45 degrees, this bait does not leave the bottom unless you're in a brush pile. You just drag it. It stays on the bottom. That's all it does. And you just drag it, count the rocks, count the pebbles. And I catch more bass doing this almost than I do on jerkbaits. And like I said last winter, it was crankbaits in this. Oh, I hope it gets warm. That wind is cold. But that's so simple. And I don't know why I don't see it. It ain't a secret anymore. It ain't been a secret since the mid-90s. I've caught some of the best bags of my life in the wintertime dragging the hula grub, the chompers, as it's known around here, made in Springfield, Missouri. Again, this one I make, if I sell these, I'm gonna call this a Aloha grub, and I got a Waikiki grub. You know, get it, hula. Well, does that make any sense at all? I don't do anything but drag it and shake it like a shaky head in one spot. That's the way I fish that bait. And you probably can't see, I don't think that camera's gonna show that action. Real fine tails that work really slow. This is kind of a pumpkin orange with a light brown skirt. Of course, any color, the green stuff always works well. But again, I'm gonna let that thing send to the bottom. That's about 9 foot deep right there off the end of that. I'm not quite to the end of that ramp yet. And I'm gonna drag it back. And when I hit something, I'm just gonna shake it. So simple, just shake it in one spot, just like a shaky head. It's on that, what do they call that? It's a stand-up chomper's head. It's a Midwest Ned rig head, whatever. And I just can't tell you. I'd love to catch a bass on it right now just to show y'all how good this bait really is. But nobody's doing it. I don't know. I don't get it. I had, like I said, as good a time last winter with this bait as I did with the crankbait, and more than I did on the jerkbait. I had a horrible jerkbait winter. I don't know. I have a horrible everything anymore. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Just not because I'm going to be selling the baits, because everybody sells this bait. I sell mine are a little bit different. I mean, I'm on the edge of that launch ramp now where this riprap comes down. So I'm going to shake it on that riprap. Just going to shake it, shake it, shake it. Oh yeah, feels so good. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I don't know what the deal is, why nobody's throwing that bait. I just don't get it. That's all I got, y'all. I'm not even going to do a solar bat sunglass thing, even though I'm using my high contrast yellows, brightens the day up. Help with that camera, does it make a difference? Anyway, link in the description for solar bat, link in the description for Chris Johnson's jerkbait video, because he did such a fine job on that video. It made me think about doing it this way. Hopefully on the water next week, catching some fish, or at least trying to. God bless you guys. I'm going to make a few more casts with this. My hands I still have some feeling in them. Talk at y'all later. Hey, let me know what y'all are thinking. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a very good video that time, but man, I'm cold. Son of a buck.